If you're a mid-level to C-suite leader who wants to own your growth and figure out your next small, brave move to achieve your leadership goals, you are in the right place. Welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast, a weekly deep dive on how to be braver in leadership and in life for exceptional results. I'm your host, Nicole Bianchi, best-selling author, certified master executive coach, NSA certified speaking professional, chief bravery officer, and tough talk expert. If you're ready to become a better, braver, and more authentic leader, let's dive in. Today, I'm beyond thrilled to be joined by someone truly special, someone who has shared an incredible journey with me this past year, Scott Schultz. In this episode, Scott and I are coming to you live from Influence 2024 conference in the vibrant city of Denver, Colorado, and we are both riding the high of achieving something so remarkable. We both recently earned the prestigious Certified Speaking Professional designation, CSP, CSP, CSP. And for those who may not be familiar, the CSP designation is the highest earned honor awarded by the National Speakers Association. It recognizes individuals who have demonstrated excellence in professional speaking, and only the top tier of speakers, fewer than 17% of NSA members worldwide, hold this title. So it's not just a credential, it's a testament to the years of dedication, expertise, and a commitment to delivering exceptional value to audiences. Scott Schultz, our guest today, is not only a newly minted CSP, but also a powerhouse in the world of franchise leadership. He's dedicated his career to solving one of the biggest challenges in business, keeping teams engaged. And in today's episode, Scott will share his unique framework, the C game, which he believes is key to unlocking engagement and driving success in any organization. We also dive into the power of accountability and the importance of having a swim buddy, someone who supports you through the highs and the lows, just as Scott and I did for each other on our journey to earning our CSPs. From overcoming challenges to celebrating milestones, today's conversation is packed with insights that will inspire you to make your own small, brave moves. So without further ado, let's dive in. Scott, welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast.
Thank you.
I am thrilled to have you here.
Thrilled to be here.
And we are live at the Influence 2024 conference in the metropolis of Denver, Colorado.
How beautiful is this place?
It's been incredible. At the Gaylord, we have had such an incredible experience, and we're both coming off a bit of a high from just getting our CSP. CSP. So, Scott, first, I want you to tell everyone that's listening who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you, Nicole. I am Scott Schultz. I am certified speaking professional, a CSP. Did you hear that?
CSP.
Is that amazing? You know how business leaders typically struggle with keeping their teams engaged?
Yes.
And you know how their leaders get sent out to quote unquote fix that? And
Yes.
when they do that, they spend extra time with those folks that are performing below the line, and they end up neglecting the people that were performing above the line. But then when they turn around, all that work that they did with those other folks to get them up to speed is they invited that other group of people to actually start performing below the line. And now the next thing you know, they're all over the place and their teams are disengaged in every direction of their work. Wouldn't it be great if there was a solution for that?
Say more.
That's what I do. I work specifically because of my background with franchise leaders to help them make engagement easy with their teams.
And I feel like there's more to this.
There's a little bit more.
There's a little bit more. How do you do that?
So I've got this framework that I think is a key unlock for what people are experiencing today in these businesses. And you've heard people talk about bringing their A game to work.
Yes.
Well, I don't think that's the actual unlock. I think people should bring their C game to work.
C game?
C game. You got it. Hear me out.
Okay.
I think it starts with curiosity. People have to have an intense curiosity about themselves, about those that they work with, and about the business that they're operating in. The second C is connection. People have to notice and be alive to the connections that they have with those around them. so many people in businesses today don't feel connected to anything really. It's just a job, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Mhm.
And then finally, the last piece is consistency. I believe that consistency beats intensity every day of the week. And that's what I invite people to bring into their work, to make more money, to lower their turnover levels and have greater levels of retention in their organization, like keeping great talent. The labor shortage is real.
Right.
Uh, Financial pressures are real. And I believe the C game is a massive unlock in helping to make engagement easy for franchise leaders.
And it's what's coming up for me right now is it's such a good, like the curious saying, leaders are expected to be experts, right? So they forget to be curious,
Sure.
right? The connections, Gallup just produced a great poll survey in January that said one meaningful conversation per team member per week outweighs any other leadership move that you can make. So the connection, we forget to do that because we get so focused about what we're going to do, which talk a lot about this in 5 Tough Talks and the how we work conversation, right? How do we connect and build that relationship, investing in the relationships, and the results will follow. And then the last one, which is
Consistency.
Is something we forget about too, because sometimes we get so stuck on let's try this or let's try that. It's like, whoa. And people forget even consistency and communicating, right? Something that it takes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times before people. So the consistency, I think, is so important. So many leaders will say something once and go, okay, I've told them, so they should know. And it's like, well, wait a minute here.
Right.
Now, speaking of consistency, I'm loving this model, curious, connection, consistency. How might this apply to you earning your CSP?
So many ways. So you think back to how we met. It was a year ago.
Yeah.
At this very conference.
Yes.
Orlando, Florida. In a bar.
Not at a bar.
Not at a bar.
No, it was definitely a bar.
Not at a bar.
It was definitely a bar.
Okay, it was a bar.
Okay,
it was a bar.
Fine, we're going to own that. We were having a cocktail.
Oh yeah, with some friends. Yeah, so I met a bunch of people that you already knew.
Yeah.
And we looked around and we noticed that everybody else was CSPs in that group. And I think I looked at you and said, hey, are you a CSP? And you said, no. Are you? I said, no. You said, do you want to be? I said, I think so. Do you? And you're like, I think so. And you asked the question. Well, what if we went for our CSPs this year and next year we walk the stage at the Influence Conference?
I get goosebumps about this.
Right?
Yeah.
To which I said yes, fully expecting to never hear from you again. And then I found out that's not how you roll. And we became accountability partners throughout the last year, what you would call swim buddies.
Right.
Yeah, we were definitely swim buddies in this process. There were some rough waters. There was some calm waters. There's a lot of rough waters.
There were probably more rough waters than calm waters. So what's interesting about, for those of you that have not heard about the swim buddy concept, I talk a lot about it in my chapter, being there for others or leaning on your circle in small, brave moves. And a swim buddy is somebody that's just unselfishly fired up for you during those amazing times and also there to pick you up during the really, really challenging times. And I know when there's something that makes me really nervous and nauseous, like, oh, this is so big, having a swim buddy helps me break it down into small and move forward, right? There's that level of accountability. So I remember looking at you going, okay, she's serious enough. I think he's all in here too. I loved your energy. I loved your enthusiasm around it. And we both were like, I felt this little competitive spirit with us, like, oh, we could do this together. And even just saying out loud, like, we're going to walk the stage next year.
Yeah.
Set into motion, our first Zoom call, which turned into follow-up weekly text messages, right? Encouraging each other. Where I think we both felt like, I remember one week getting a text message from you going, hey, I've got this many entered on the spreadsheet. And I was like, crap, I am not even close, which really challenged me to like, I've got to get it into gear and really to move this forward.
So that what was driving that was I didn't want to let you down.
No way.
That was my motivation was I can't let Nicole down.
Yeah.
In this. And if I report out to her that I didn't do anything this week, she's going to be disappointed or there's going to be more work for me the next week to get caught up. And Yeah.
Well, I felt the same way about you. I didn't want to. So even when you would send that text message and I didn't respond for 3 or 4 hours, I was like, I've got to make some movement. So when I respond to Scott, he knows I'm still all in. And we both travel quite a bit for work.
Definitely.
And so I know our travel schedules have been challenging, but I'll tell you a pivotal moment during our journey when I really think about when you use the word connection being so important to me is there was a moment where I was traveling and it was a rookie move. And for those of you who can laugh, this is going to make you laugh. I did not save my Google Sheet back up. I was on a flight multiple times where the Wi-Fi just wasn't stable. So I kept it down on my laptop and then ended up having to instantly upgrade my laptop. And a rookie move was not resaving it and had lost months and months and months of work. And I remember reaching out to you and I didn't even have the words that week, but I think I sent you crying emojis over and over and over. And I was like, I can't talk about it, but just know the spreadsheet's gone. And you stepped up. Do you remember the move you made?
I think at that point, if I remember correctly, it was around Christmas time. Like we were relatively close to
within 3 weeks
submission.
Yes.
The deadline. And I just took the number of line items that I knew was the bare minimum. And I counted up the number of days that we had left. And I said, Nicole, it's only X number. I forget the number it was. It wasn't a ton. But, I mean, it was a lot, 15, 20, something like that. A day.
Yeah.
Is that something you think you could do?
Do you see the power of his coaching move right there? The curiosity question, is that something you think you can do? Not telling me, but helping me see that these small, like it was just going to take a series of small moves to get back on track to what I needed to have happen.
I'd also say those were small, brave moves that you made in that because you had a lot of other things going on in life at the time and a lot of work and a lot of travel. And it's a courage for you to say, I'm not going to put this off for another year because you only get one shot.
And I couldn't, and honestly, in that moment, what I saw was you on stage, me in the audience cheering you on, which I would have been there absolutely for, but me being so sad I wasn't on stage with you. And I thought, I've got to give it my all. I can't have any regret around the process.
Yeah.
Right.
Not one to let me down.
Yes.
I'm not one to let you down. You're not one to let me down.
Right.
And neither one of us are going to drown.
Right. Exactly.
Swim
Which is
buddies.
the power of the swim buddy.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
So I just appreciate you. And I wanted to share our experience on this podcast because I think so many times as leaders, we feel like we have to go at it alone or we have to be the expert. We're not curious or think, there might be somebody that wants to go on this journey with us. And then we don't have somebody by our side, right? During those high moments and during those low moments. And so thank you for being there for all the low moments. Thank you for being during the high moments this week when we got to put the medals on and be on stage. And like, I just get goosebumps when I think about, we did it. Like we actually did it.
You busted a move on stage.
I busted a move.
You can't see that on the podcast, but you busted a move on stage.
There was a small signature move I made on stage and you did as well, which was super pro. And it was fun to watch you do that too.
Legendary.
It was. I think they were too.
Yeah. They may go down in history. Like somebody somewhere 15 years from now is maybe recording a podcast at the National Speakers Association Influence Conference, and they're going to be talking about those two moves. I saw that video.
I can't wait. We'll share it out there when we get the video back from the conference for sure.
Yes.
So Scott, thinking about your journey and bringing curiosity, connection, and consistency, which is the biggest one probably. I love how they flow. So I'm like, if you're not curious and you can't make the connections, you can't be consistent for each other. So I love the flow of that as well. What's one small brave move people can make to begin to live their sea game?
I think the first small brave move that people could make to live into their sea game is to just tap into the first C. Just tap into that curiosity. What don't I know? When I think I'm an expert in something, what am I missing? What don't I know? When I think that I can't do something, who's my swim buddy?
Yeah.
Who might be able to help me with this? When I notice that I begin to get a little bit slippery with a commitment, or I get slippery with a goal that I have to achieve, who do I need to reach out to? I mean, just being curious about that. I mean, it's a whole series of small, brave moves. Each of them is a move in and of itself, but just be curious a little bit longer.
It's a good one. It's a great coaching move, right?
Oh man.
you're a leader as a coach. And I love asking that question when somebody's stuck, saying, what are you most curious about in this moment right now? Like, what do you really want to ask? And then they ask it, and then unleashes something so powerful.
Every
So
time.
thank you for bringing us back to the curiosity, the connection, consistency, and thank you for being my swim buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Small Brave Moves podcast. If you're wanting to take this work even deeper, I'm here to help. From engaging in inspirational keynote speeches to transformational coaching and workshops for leaders and teams, page-turning books, online courses, and enlightening leadership development retreats. There are so many ways that we can work together to take your leadership to the next level. For more information, check out the show notes, and let's do this together, one small brave move at a time. See you next week.